It is a peculiar paradox of our time that we navigate the universe by invisible forces, satellites guiding our maps, compasses pointing north, auroras dancing in distant skies. Yet we scarcely notice that one of the greatest invisible forces beneath our feet is quietly changing. We live in an era of constant flux. Political upheavals, climate tipping points, digital revolutions. Yet one quiet cosmic flip could rearrange our planet's magnetic field, the shield that protects life, and we hardly talk about it. And so I begin with the question, what happens when the compass of the world itself begins to shift? Not metaphorically, but literally when Earth's magnetic poles migrate, fluctuate, and sometimes reverse, what are the ripple effects upon life, technology, consciousness, and our idea of stability? I don't offer answers yet. Instead, I invite you to walk through the unknown with me. I want you to imagine the Earth not as a static orb, but as a living dynamo, molten iron churning in its outer core. Electrical currents flowing like storms in slow motion, generating a magnetic field that reaches up into space, shaping the region we call the magnetosphere, deflecting solar winds, guiding migrating birds, orienting compasses, protecting satellites. That magnetic cocoon is fragile, dynamic, and in constant motion. Now suppose that cocoon weakens. Suppose the field wobbles, the poles drift faster than in any known historical epoch. And then in the geological blink of an eye flip, north becomes south, south becomes north. The record of the planet shows that such reversals have happened many times, but nobody alive today has ever experienced one. And the questions about what exactly happens during the transition, at what speed, and with what cascading consequences remain deeply uncertain. We often think of cosmic risks as gamma rays or asteroid strikes, far away and dramatic, but a magnetic flip is quietly dangerous to GPS systems, to orbital satellites, to migratory life, to electrical grids. The invisible scaffolding upon which modern civilization rests could wobble in ways we overlook until it's too late. This is not apocalypse porn. It is sober curiosity. It is science asking, what truths are we ignoring? If the magnetic field is ever shifting, then stability itself is a myth. We cling to north, south, magnetic orientation, but these are transitory. The Earth is teaching us that the underlying constants we assume are not constant at all. In cosmic terms, we are but passengers on a spinning, tilting, magnetizing world, and its internal machinery may rewrite our definition of north. Quote, so to understand this phenomenon and why I call it the fifth dimension revealed, we must journey across centuries of science, plunge into the physics of the core, peer through geological records, and ascend to what this means for us as conscious beings with responsibility in a changing world. We'll ask, what is the nature of Earth's magnetic field? How is it generated? How stable is it? And how variable? What does the geological evidence tell us about past flips, their speed, their impact, their warning signs? What would a magnetic reversal do to modern technology, climate, biospheres, and human society? And here's the cosmic twist. Could awareness, collective behavior, and global responsibility play a role not just in climate or ecology, but in guiding the coherence of our planet's magnetic structure? Finally, how does this mysterious, dynamic, invisible shift tie into the idea of a fifth dimension, an emergent fabric of meaning, connection, and temporal coherence that the cosmos is revealing through Earth's magnetism? At the end, I hope you will not simply fear the flip, but feel empowered to live consciously, because the changes we ignore are exactly the ones that can reshape our future. Let's begin with the fundamentals. Earth's dynamo. Deep beneath our crust, at depths unreachable by drilling, lies a cauldron of molten iron and nickel. That outer core is agitated by heat from the inner core and residual heat from Earth's formation. As the liquid metals convect, as they swirl under the force of Earth's rotation, the Coriolis effect, they generate electrical currents. In turn, those currents generate magnetic fields. This is the heart of the geodynamo. The geodynamo is not static. It's turbulent. It's irregular. Sometimes parts of it glitch. Sometimes the field lines fold, twist, and reconnect like cosmic threads being pulled and knotted. The magnetic field we measure at the surface is the result of this deep, swirling electrical dance. Over human lifetimes, the field weakens or strengthens, shifts its center, tilts and drifts. Magnetic north is not fixed at the geographic North Pole. It wanders. For the past century, magnetic north has been migrating at tens of kilometers per year faster in recent decades. That wandering is a signal, not noise. It speaks of perturbations deep below, but more dramatically, in Earth's deep past the field, has reversed entirely. Paleomagnetic records show that for each reversal, compass needles would point the opposite direction, enabling reversed orientation for migrating creatures, for compasses, for everything that use magnetic direction. Yet, we lack clarity on how rapidly most flips occur. Some geological records suggest fast transitions over centuries, others hint at millennia. Some reversals seem abrupt in local stratigraphic records, but the resolution, the timescale, is still debated. Did life survive with minor disruption? Did the biosphere slow or falter? Did climate shift temporarily? These are open questions. Even more uncertain, what happens during the transition when the magnetic field weakens to perhaps 10-20% of its usual strength? When multiple poles may appear, multipolar configuration, when parts of the surface field invert before others, or when fields reconnect in chaotic ways. We are living during what many geophysicists call a lull, a period of weakness in the field lower than in many millennia. It might be nothing, or it might be the preamble to a flip. We cannot say with certainty. To peer into Earth's memory, we study magnetized rocks, basalt cooling, lava flows, sediments, Antarctic cores, oceanic crust spreading. Each record is a snapshot where the magnetic minerals align with the prevailing direction of the field, then freeze that orientation in place. Over millions of years, layers of these frozen compasses tell the story of flips. We see the last full reversal, the Brunhes-Matuyama reversal, about 780,000 years ago when north and south swapped. But before that, there were many. The geological record is littered with crons where field direction reversed or drifted. Some flips appear to happen in bursts, with rapid excursions failed reversals in between. Intriguingly, in certain regions, the transition appears abrupt, as though the field weakened drastically. Then a reversed field grew quickly within a few thousand years or less. In other places, the transition looks messy, with overlapping lobes of magnetic direction, suggesting chaotic overlap and partial flips. These complexities reveal that flips are not uniform global events, but spatially and temporally heterogeneous changes, likely mediated by the turbulent flow in the core. But here's the cosmically provocative thought. The Earth's history is not just a record of flips, but a record of resilience. Life has persisted through dozens of reversals. Species have migrated, magnetic navigation has adapted, radiation levels may have increased briefly, but life endured. That persistence itself is a sign not of passive survival, but of dynamism, a planet system capable of self-correction. Now imagine a world in which the magnetic field is weakening, fragmenting, reconfiguring. The potential impacts are not science fiction. Many are predictable, and some already show signs of emerging. Satellites and communication. The magnetosphere acts as a shield, deflecting energetic particles from the sun and cosmic rays. A weaker field means more charged particles reach satellite circuits, increasing radiation damage, causing increased error rates, shortening lifespans of electronics. GPS signals passing through increased turbulence may degrade in reliability. Communication links, high-frequency radio, long-range signals, all may suffer more noise and interference. Power grids and electrical infrastructure. Variations in geomagnetic fields induce currents in long conductive lines. Power grids, pipelines. During solar storms, induced currents are already known to overload transformers and knock out power. With a weaker field, more severe geomagnetic events could cascade failures on continental scales. aviation and navigation. Aircraft that fly high latitudes rely on magnetic references. Currently, inertial navigation systems back them up, but their systems may require reconfiguration if pole locations shift rapidly. Compasses become less reliable, instrument calibration becomes more challenging. Biological and ecological effects. Migratory species, many of which use magnetic cues, may become disoriented. Birds, sea turtles, insects may navigate less reliably. Radiation flux may increase at high-altitude flights or at polar latitudes. Subtle increases in background radiation may influence mutation rates, though the effects are likely small relative to other sources. Still, the stress on ecosystems could magnify climate and atmospheric effects. The direct coupling of magnetic field changes to climate is speculative. Some hypotheses suggest that increased cosmic ray flux or charged particles could influence atmospheric chemistry, cloud nucleation, or ozone layer dynamics. These effects remain debated and uncertain. But in a globally interconnected system, even small perturbations might trigger feedbacks. Human psyche and infrastructure resilience. The shift of what we thought north meant, the rearrangement of cultural reference points, the stress on our systems, all may erode the illusion of permanence we cling to. There may be a geospheric anxiety akin to climate anxiety, a sense that foundational stability beneath us is shifting. In short, we are not helpless. We can model, measure, prepare, but we must take the possibility seriously. Now we return to the idea of the fifth dimension. Not a spatial axis, not a temporal line, but the emergent realm of coherence of meaning, connection, alignment. Earth's magnetic flip is a doorway. It reveals that beneath the visible is a substrate, a dynamic dance of fields, currents, memory, interaction. What if this magnetic resonance is more than geophysics? What if it's Earth's way of communicating across ages, aligning life with interior structure? What if the magnetosphere is a kind of memory field, a planetary nervous system of sorts, and that the flips are restructuring not only physics but resonance with life? I do not claim mystical causation, but I suggest that complex systems interact across scales life, magnetic fields, geology, consciousness. When human civilization begins to emit substantial electromagnetic noise from grids, communication systems, satellite constellations, when we alter ionospheric chemistry, when we shift mass distributions, ice melt, hydrology, we are not separate from Earth's fields. We are participants within them. In that frame, the flip is not just a geologic hazard, it is an invitation for awareness, for alignment, for responsibility, for us to become conscious custodians of the subtle forces we once assumed indifferent to us. We might conceptualize the magnetic field as having a resonant mode, and we, in our collective behavior, modulate that mode. Our emissions, our interactions, our aggregate electromagnetic footprint, minor though they may seem, could influence the stability of those resonant patterns over long timescales. This is speculative. It is hypothesis, not dogma. But it is precisely the kind of thinking that shifts us from mere observers to participants. When I call this the fifth dimension revealed, I mean the dimension of resonance, of feedback, of coherence across physics, life, and mind. Just as consciousness discovers itself by reflecting on time, so too life reflects upon the magnetism of its world. Let us zoom out. The sun is aging. The galaxy is dynamic. Solar cycles fluctuate. The Earth's magnetism is but one thread in a tapestry of cosmic influences. Over millions of years, magnetic fields, cosmic rays, geological cycles, asteroid strikes, and radiation bursts have shaped evolution's trajectory. We are living within that tapestry now. Our species evolved under the protection of a robust magnetic field. We built civilizations, satellites, grids, mathematics, and now the possibility of flip looms as a reminder. Cosmic stability is temporary. The underlying dynamics do not pause for convenience. So what do we do when north can turn south, when protection can weaken, when unknown risks hover beyond our perception? We begin with humble vigilance. We don't pretend to control the core of the Earth, but we can monitor it with precision. Seismology, geomagnetic observatories, satellite magnetometry, fluid dynamic simulations, AI-driven prediction. We can stress test our grids, harden satellites, improve fault tolerance. We can study migratory species, develop redundancy, diversify orientation systems beyond magnetism. But more than that, we can adopt a posture of responsibility. Recognize that we live on a planet whose internal dynamics we are part of. Our technological expansion, our electromagnetic emissions, our shifting masses, dams, reservoirs, melting ice, are not separate from those dynamics. In the grand ledger of Earth's harmonics, we are entries, and so we cultivate alignment of infrastructure, of policy, of education, of awareness, to treat magnetism not as a background phenomenon, but as a dimension in which we act. To think of our power grids, communications arrays, and satellite constellations not just as engineering, but as participants in a dynamic planetary system. To choose electromagnetic cleanliness, resilience, and coherence. In that posture, even uncertainty becomes meaningful, because the flip is not just a risk, it is a reminder that Earth is alive, that she has internal rhythms, moods, susceptibilities, and we are not masters, we are collaborators. Now let me pull this to its summit. In the 20th century, humans escaped, gravity's pull rockets flew, men landed on the moon, probes visited all corners of the solar system. That achievement taught us limits can move, the cosmos can be touched. But in the 21st century, our frontier is subtler, not distance, but integration, not conquest, but harmony. When we next journey outward to Mars, to Europa, to exoplanets, we will carry this lesson, that stability is not given, but earned, that a world's magnetic cocoon, its climate, its biosphere, its memory, all must be respected. So when you look at the night sky tonight, remember, Earth is not a passive rock in space. She is a dynamo, a resonance system, a living field. And you listening now, you are part of that field. Every phone you charge, every broadcast you emit, every mountain you dam, every glacier you melt, those are not isolated acts. They ripple through the magnetic, geological, and biological threads of this planet. To prepare for a magnetic flip is to prepare for humility. To imagine life beyond it is to practice resilience. To commit to coherence is to help the planet's hidden dimensions remember balance. May we become good listeners to Earth's magnetic poem, good stewards of her invisible scaffolding, good collaborators in the unfolding mystery of life and field. And may our future generations inherit not only a planet intact, but a magnetic rhythm that sings with harmony and wonder. The fifth dimension is not fantasy. It is the dimension of resonance, connecting core to surface, field to life, matter to mind. If Earth's magnetism flips, we will not vanish, but we will be challenged to become more conscious, more aligned, more responsible. And in that challenge may lie the grandest invitation of all, to step beyond seeing Earth as a stage and become parts of its living script, to make our technologies, our societies, our dreams coherent with the hidden turning of the core, to allow our lives strange, brief, shining to resonate with the unsung heartbeat of our planet. That is the truth no one's talking about. That is the dimension we must reveal. If you were to stand at the magnetic North Pole today, your compass would betray you. It would spin, hesitate, tremble, confused, as if it too were asking the question humanity rarely asks, where is North really? Because North is on the move. Each year, the magnetic pole drifts roughly 30 to 40 miles towards Siberia, a journey faster than at any recorded period in human history. To us, that might sound like a headline, but to Earth, it's the slow exhale of an ancient rhythm, a reminder that our planet's interior, its very core, is alive and dynamic. If you could slice Earth open and look beneath your feet, you'd find a sea of molten iron, swirling in currents hundreds of kilometers deep. Those currents are the beating heart of our magnetic field, an invisible shield stretching tens of thousands of kilometers into space, deflecting solar wind, guiding compasses, painting auroras across polar skies. And while we may think of it as constant, it never truly stands still. The field strengthens and weakens, meanders and bends, like weather patterns deep inside the planet. Sometimes, that inner weather grows so complex that the entire field reorganizes itself and the poles trade places. That is Earth's magnetic reversal, not a cataclysm, not an apocalypse, but a slow, profound realignment of the planet's invisible architecture. The patience of a planet. Human beings measure time in heartbeats, in birthdays, in the ticking of atomic clocks. Earth measures it in the flow of magma and the migration of continents. When the poles reverse, the process unfolds over thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of years. If you could speed it up to human scale, it might look like a grand cosmic ballet, magnetic lines looping, snapping, reconnecting, finding new balance. During that time, the field weakens, but never disappears. Even a diminished field still deflects most cosmic radiation. Life continues. Skies remain blue, oceans keep their tides, and no record in geology suggests mass extinction linked to a reversal. The last one happened roughly 780,000 years ago, and the planet hardly flinched. Yet, from our technological perspective, it's not irrelevant. A weaker field means more charged particles reaching the upper atmosphere, more challenges for satellites, GPS, and power grids. We would need better shielding, smarter designs, redundancy, but for a species that can edit genes and land rovers on Mars, adapting to a magnetic adjustment should not be beyond us. The real challenge is psychological learning to live without the illusion of permanence. When constants move, we like to think of the world as reliable. The sun rises, the compass points north, the seasons return on schedule, but beneath that reliability lies chaos. And within chaos, a pattern we are only beginning to perceive. The magnetic field reminds us that stability in the cosmos is always temporary and that our survival depends not on things staying the same, but on our capacity to adapt when they don't. Perhaps that's why so many cultures have associated the magnetic pole with guidance, destiny, even spiritual orientation. A compass is not just a tool, it's a metaphor. When the compass itself begins to wander, it challenges us to find a deeper kind of direction, one that doesn't depend on iron or electronics, but on values, signals beneath our feet. Today, scientists monitor the field from space satellites, like ESA's Swarm constellation, trace its every fluctuation. They detect subtle drifts, patches of weakness, regions like the South Atlantic anomaly, where radiation belts dip closer to Earth. These are not omens, they're data. They tell us the field is evolving, not collapsing. Inside supercomputers, digital Earths spin simulations of molten iron, convection currents, and magnetic feedback loops. They show reversals forming like storms, eddies of flow disrupting symmetry, magnetic ropes twisting until the field reorganizes. To the geophysicist, it's beauty in motion turbulence turned to art. And in those patterns, there's a lesson about resilience. The field never vanishes, it reemerges. It changes shape to survive. And maybe so should we. From physics to philosophy, there's a strange comfort in realizing that even the magnetic field, that ancient planetary heartbeat, is mortal in its own way. It weakens, wobbles, renews, yet the planet endures. That rhythm mirrors our own lives. Each of us goes through reversals times, when everything that once guided us seems to fail, when our personal north drifts or disappears. But from those moments, new direction emerges. We, too, realign. Earth, it turns out, is a patient teacher. Through its magnetism, it teaches that constancy is not the same as strength. True stability lies in the ability to change without losing identity. The fifth dimension of connection. Scientists speak of 3 spatial dimensions and 1 of time. But the 5th dimension, the one hidden in plain sight, might be relationship, because nothing in this universe evolves alone. The sun's cycles influence Earth's core. The magnetic field shapes the biosphere. The biosphere in turn modifies the atmosphere, which affects climate, which affects life. It's an orchestra of feedback, and we are both audience and performer. When we understand that, our definition of responsibility expands. Protecting the environment becomes more than reducing carbon. It becomes sustaining coherence, keeping the delicate resonance between field, atmosphere, and life intact. That resonance is what the 5th dimension represents. Not mysticism, but awareness, the realization that physics and philosophy are threads of the same tapestry. So, what should we do as the poles wander and the field slowly shifts? We prepare rationally, responsibly. We design satellites with hardened circuits. We modernize power grids to withstand induced currents. We monitor atmospheric radiation and protect high-altitude flights. We educate, communicate, and replace superstition with understanding. And we remind ourselves that humanity has faced greater transformations. We survived ice ages, pandemics, and wars. We adapted to new continents, new technologies, new ways of seeing. A shifting magnetic field in that context is simply another chapter in the story of adaptation, a reminder that our greatest tool is not certainty, but curiosity. When we finally grasp that even north can change, it humbles us. It invites us to rethink what guidance means. It challenges the illusion that stability is strength and shows that resilience, the ability to bend without breaking, is the real superpower of life. If the magnetic poles flip tomorrow or 10,000 years from now, it won't be the end of civilization, but it could be a turning point in our self-understanding. Because to study Earth's magnetism is to realize that we are not separate from the forces that shape this world. We are made of the same elements that flow in its core. The iron in our blood once swirled in ancient magma, aligning with fields long vanished. The aurora we watch is the same energy that gives us compasses, protects our atmosphere, and paints the night sky. We are not observers of a magnetic Earth. We are extensions of it. So maybe the magnetic flip no one's talking about isn't just physical, maybe it's metaphorical. Maybe it's the inversion we need in how we think about the world, from exploitation to stewardship, from short-term comfort to long-term coherence. The field beneath our feet is reminding us that change is not collapse, it's transformation. And if we learn from it, we might realign our own civilization before it's too late, not against Earth's rhythm, but with it. Look up tonight. Find the North Star Polaris, the ancient guide of travelers and dreamers. It sits roughly above the current North Pole, but even that is temporary. In a few thousand years, precession will move it away, and another star will take its place. Even the heavens change their compass points. Yet, the human impulse to navigate to seek direction in the dark remains constant. That, perhaps, is our truest north, the will to understand. And when Earth's magnetic field flips again, as it surely will someday, let it not catch us unprepared or afraid. Let it find us wise, humble, and aligned, not just with the physics of our planet, but with its deeper dimension, the quiet, continuous conversation between matter and meaning, between survival and awareness, between what the universe is and what it's still becoming. Imagine the planet as seen from orbit, a swirl of cloud and ocean wrapped in a faint halo of blue. That halo is more than air. It's the visible edge of an invisible fortress, the magnetic field. Without it, solar wind would peel our atmosphere away grain by grain. Every sunset, every breath, every photograph ever taken beneath an open sky owes its existence to that unseen shield. And yet, this fortress is alive. It drifts, it wavers, it even turns inside out. What looks to us like chaos is, to Earth, simply the slow rhythm of its heart. When we first learned that the poles could reverse, we treated the idea like a threat. But look closer, and it's a mirror. The planet isn't collapsing, it's evolving. It survives not because it resists change, but because it allows change to happen and then finds equilibrium again. That lesson is for us. Civilization, too, is magnetic. It depends on invisible alignments: trust, shared truth, purpose. And like the field, those alignments can weaken when noise overwhelms signal, when competing currents pull in opposite directions. The question is never whether reversals occur. It's whether we rebuild coherence afterward. Every compass, every navigation satellite, every aurora seen from the window of an airplane, each is a reminder that we live inside a grand electromagnetic poem. The iron in our blood feels that field. The signals that bind our world together ride upon it. We are not guests here. We are participants in the same current that flows through the core. So when the poles shift again, and they will, our task is not to panic, but to learn, to build technology resilient enough to endure, and wisdom strong enough to guide it, to understand that adaptation is a kind of gratitude, the way intelligence thanks the cosmos for the privilege of existing. And this, at last, is the fifth dimension, awareness. The dimension where knowledge becomes responsibility, where understanding becomes empathy. It's the space between what the universe does and what we choose to do with it. The magnetic field protects Earth. Awareness protects meaning. When both remain strong, life flourishes. When either weakens, the noise grows louder, and the signal, the clarity that lets us know who we are, fades. The true flip we need is not in the planet's poles, but in our perspective. From ownership to stewardship, from extraction to participation, from short-term profit to long-term coherence. Look up one last time. Every star you see is another dynamo, another field, another possibility for life. Across the galaxy, countless worlds are spinning, each trying to find balance between chaos and order. Earth found hers, and we are the evidence. The future may bring storms, reversals, surprises, but remember, a compass that spins wildly is still responding to something real. If we keep seeking alignment with truth, with one another, with the planet that sustains us, we'll never truly lose our way. Because the universe is not asking us to be perfect. It's asking us to participate. So let the poles wander. Let the field breathe. Let humanity, at last, find its true north not in the iron beneath our feet, but in the awareness that we are the universe, learning to hold itself steady. There will come a day, perhaps a few thousand years from now, when a scientist, maybe human, maybe whatever comes after us, will stand in a laboratory and watch the magnetic field complete its slow, elegant reversal. Satellites will record it, algorithms will trace its symmetry, and someone will whisper, "There it is." The planet will continue spinning, oceans will rise and fall, auroras will bloom in unexpected places, and life will go on. The truth is, Earth has never been a place of stillness. It has been a planet of patience. Every reversal, every tectonic drift, every ice age and thaw has been part of the same long rehearsal for balance. And through it all, the magnetic field has been both compass and teacher, reminding us that change, when understood, is not chaos, but rhythm. In the coming decades, satellites will map the field with ever finer precision. We'll see currents beneath the crust, like weather maps of fire, trace each pulse of the outer core as if we could read Earth's heartbeat. The data will fill archives larger than any library in history. And somewhere inside that noise will be a new pattern, one that tells us how magnetic storms connect to climate, how solar wind dances with our atmosphere, how even human technology leaves faint echoes in the global field. With that knowledge will come new responsibility. We'll design cleaner electronics, quieter power systems, devices that harmonize rather than interfere. We'll learn to treat electromagnetism not as an infinite resource, but as part of the planet's subtle ecology. The same awareness that once saved forests and oceans will extend to the invisible architecture around us. The great revolutions in science have always been revolutions in humility. Copernicus showed that Earth is not the center of the universe. Darwin showed that life is not separate from nature. Einstein showed that time is not absolute. The next revelation may be that awareness itself, the way we measure, observe, and choose, is woven into the cosmos it studies. When we finally see that, the line between science and philosophy will blur, not because we abandon rigor, but because understanding will feel personal. We will no longer study the universe from the outside. We'll realize we have never been outside it at all. By then, humanity, or whatever it becomes, may be scattered across many worlds. On each, a magnetic field will rise from molten hearts, each with its own rhythm, its own poles, its own skies of light. Every civilization will learn in its own way what we are only beginning to understand here, that survival is less about resisting change and more about learning to move gracefully with it. Our descendants will inherit that wisdom like a compass encoded in culture. They'll look back at this century, the century of satellites, climate debates, and restless curiosity, and see it for what it was. The moment we learned that responsibility is not a burden, but a form of participation in the ongoing experiment called life. And so the field will flip, the poles will wander, the ages will pass. Long after our names have faded, the data we recorded, the questions we asked, and the care we showed will remain folded into the planet's story. Somewhere in the molten core, a trace of our age will persist, the electromagnetic whisper of a civilization that once learned to listen. When that future scientist looks back through time, perhaps through data or memory or some yet to be invented way of knowing, they'll find us here watching auroras, debating causes, trying to understand. And maybe they'll smile, realizing that we too were part of the field, and that awareness, once awakened, never really disappears. Because every field, magnetic, gravitational, or human, is just the universe practicing connection. And connection, once made, never stops resonating. In the end, everything returns to a line of light. A needle floating in a compass bowl, a photon leaving a distant star, a strand of data crossing a screen. All of them move through the same field, the same invisible current that binds Earth, mind, and memory. We built machines to measure it. We built stories to explain it. And in the middle of that search, we discovered ourselves tiny magnetic signatures written into a vast equation. The poles will drift, continents will wander, civilizations will rise, vanish, and rise again. But the field, this quiet dialogue between motion and meaning, will go on. So the next time you hold a compass, remember that the needle isn't pointing somewhere else. It's pointing through you toward the same direction every atom of iron in your blood already knows. North is not a place, it's a participation. And as long as we keep seeking that alignment, no reversal, no storm, no passing age will ever take the universe's sense of direction away. We began with a paradox, that in an age of perfect navigation, we still lose our way. And now we end with its answer, not certainty, but understanding. The compass of the world may drift, its poles may trade places, but the direction that matters was never etched in iron or coded in satellites. It lives in the motion of our questions, in the current of curiosity that keeps us turning toward wonder. As long as that current flows, the planet will find its balance, and so will we. I wrote these words not to warn, but to remind every generation inherits a world mid-sentence, the forces of Earth already in motion. The questions already asked, but not yet answered. We live among invisible systems. Gravity, magnetism, trust, curiosity, they hold us together even when we forget they exist. The magnetic field is one of them. It hums quietly beneath politics, beneath technology, beneath the noise of our cities. When we finally stop to notice it, we also notice the pattern it teaches. balance through motion, order through change. That, to me, is the real story. Science gives us the facts. The field will weaken, wander, reverse, then recover. But what we do with that knowledge is philosophy. Do we meet change with fear, or with the same calm that the planet itself displays? Do we use our intelligence to adapt or to deny? If the film has done its job, you'll leave not worried but awake, aware that the magnetic field is not just Earth's property. It's a metaphor for the human spirit. When we lose alignment, we search, we adjust, we find coherence again. And in doing so, we participate in the same physics that shapes worlds. That's why I tell stories like this one, because science, at its best, doesn't make the universe smaller. It makes it personal. It reminds us that every field, every atom, every act of curiosity is the cosmos whispering, "I'm still here and so are you." Some nights, when the sky is clear, you can almost feel the planet turning. Not as motion beneath your feet, but as a slow whisper in the air, the sound of iron moving in the dark, the pulse of a world that never stops becoming itself. Everything we've built, every map, every dream, every song rides on that motion. And as long as Earth keeps turning, there will be light to steer by and questions worth asking. So let it turn. Let it hum beneath the oceans and the cities and the sleeping forests. Let it remind us that change is the only kind of stillness the universe understands. And somewhere beneath the noise of cities and storms, the core keeps spinning, slow, patient, certain. Its rhythm has never needed applause. It simply turns, holding the memory of every sunrise that ever was. We call that rhythm Earth. It calls us home. And if you listen closely to the whisper of iron below and the hiss of charged particles above, you'll realize we've already rehearsed for this moment. Our species has been practicing alignment since we first learned to point. We pointed with fingers at constellations we did not yet understand. We pointed with stone needles floating on water bowls, finding our way by the most patient force on Earth. We pointed with radio dishes that could hear the faint farewell of a spacecraft slipping beyond the heliosphere, carrying a gold record of who we hoped we were. Those pointers, finger, needle, antenna are the same gesture in different costumes. They say, we are oriented by wonder, and wonder is not fragile. It is rugged, like basalt that cooled beneath magnetic skies long gone. It is practical, like a transformer hardened for a storm that hasn't happened yet. It is moral, like the choice to build a grid that protects the poor first and the rich second, because electrons, unlike privilege, don't care what neighborhood you live in. If you want a control experiment in magnetism, consult our neighbors. Mars is the cautionary tale whispered by Maven and every dust devil that twirls across its plains. A world whose global dynamo fell silent long ago, leaving the solar wind to comb away its atmosphere molecule by molecule. Not overnight, patiently, cosmically. Mars is a still life of what happens when a planet loses its invisible coat in a universe that runs cold. No villains, just physics keeping good books. Earth's ledger is different, still warm, still molten, still singing, but the song modulates. Keys change, harmonies invert, and reversals when they come are not the end of the music. They are jazz. A risky bridge that, if you keep listening, resolves into something you didn't know you craved. That's why preparing for a flip is not grim work. It's an act of culture. It's the same spirit that once taught us to wrap habitats against vacuum, to give a rover the patience to drive the length of a marathon in a place with no cheers. It's the same instinct that told engineers to fit a heat shield to a capsule, not because the atmosphere hates us, but because it loves us with friction. We have always survived by learning how to be held properly by forces larger than ourselves. So when the field wanes, we don't wring our hands, we tune the instrument. We retire brittle infrastructure the way a violinist replaces old strings before a symphony. We launch satellites with rad-hard memory and attitude control that can dance through radiation weather. We reimagine flight corridors at high latitude. We build ground stations that shrug at geomagnetically induced currents. And we turn every high school physics classroom into a tiny mission control where a magnetometer and a curious teenager can catch the planet breathing in real time. Because the antidote to fear is participation. And participation changes what we mean by space race. The first space race was a sprint with flags. The next is a marathon with responsibilities. Yes, we will go back to the moon with suits that flex like living fabric, onward to Mars with greenhouses that will learn to whisper to Martian regolith the way roots whisper to soil. But the point of going will not be to escape Earth's problems, it will be to solve them more deeply. Every habitat we build off-world is a mirror held up to on-world necessity. Closed-loop water, honest accounting of energy, zero-waste ecologies, and a humility calibrated to the thinness of air, whether in a dome on another world or a slum beside a warming sea. And the magnetism lesson travels with us. On Europa, if we one day listen through ice to a subsurface ocean stirred by Jupiter's tides and braided by induced magnetic fields, we'll remember that a planet's hidden currents often carry its most precious cargo. On exoplanets, when we map star spots and stellar flares that would scour an unshielded world, we'll count a robust dynamo as a line in the habitable checklist, right beside liquid water and carbon chemistry. Somewhere, a civilization we haven't met is conducting the same audit, learning the same humility. That life's best friend is an invisible thing no voter base will ever applaud because it never campaigns. It just works until it doesn't. Then you learn who studied. The most radical thing we can do in the meantime is also the most ordinary. Tell the truth about timescales. Tell it in museums and boardrooms and dinner tables. Tell it in code that runs power markets and in speeches that set policy. The truth is that geologic processes don't honor election cycles, and solar storms do not read our quarterly guidance. The core flows at its own cadence. Our job is to align human attention, so famously distractible, with a rhythm that does not care if we are late. Because when the universe invites you to a rehearsal, you do not arrive after downbeat. We can learn to be on time. The instruments sit waiting. Constellations like Swarm mapping the field's choreography. Seismology that hears the core the way a doctor hears a heart. Networks that share alerts faster than a coronal mass ejection can cross the Sun-Earth distance. Link them, fund them, teach from them, translate their signals into the languages people live in. The language of your light stayed on. The language of your flight was safe. The language of your turtle found the beach. Quote, if you need a parable to carry in your pocket, here's one. A compass needle is not decisive. It is decisive enough. It jitters. It overshoots. It settles. Then it reminds you that north is a partnership between iron and patience. In other words, it behaves like a good society. The goal is not to eliminate the wobble. The goal is to ensure the wobble returns you to bearing. The fifth dimension, I promise you awareness, braided with responsibility, does not wait on auroras or anomalies. It begins in the untelegenic places. Standards committees that quietly redefine grid resilience. Coastal planning meetings where someone has the courage to say, elevate and mean it. Classrooms where a teacher lets a student hold a meteorite and says, this is the oldest thing your hands will ever touch, and yet your questions are older. That is policy at the speed of meaning. And this is where science gives you a gift that philosophy envies, a finale with numbers you can feel. In the Apollo era, we learned that a Saturn V could lift 140,000 kilograms to low Earth orbit, and the human spirit even higher. In the Voyager era, we learned that a turn of the gravity assist wrist could fling our curiosity past the planets and into interstellar dark with a message that began, we are from a world of water and storms and music. In the James Webb era, we learned that time can be folded by mirrors finely enough to watch galaxies in their first awkward teenage billion years. Each of these feats was an answer to the same cosmic prompt. When confronted with the unknown, do you flinch or do you focus? A magnetic reversal is the quiet version of that prompt. No countdown, no plume, just the long, patient work of alignment. If we answer it well, we will have authored a different kind of space race victory, one measured not only in kilometers beyond Earth, but in competence upon it. And make no mistake, competence is a form of love. Love for the nurses who plug in ventilators during storms and expect the grid to keep its promises. Love for the farmers who read weather that is getting harder to read. Love for the night sky itself, which deserves to be dark enough that a child learns to locate a planet by naked eye and feel, if only once, that great ancestral click of orientation between mind and cosmos. One day, perhaps in a lab lit by the soft green of status LEDs and the louder green of a fern photosynthesizing on a windowsill, a student will watch a data stream from the core and recognize the signature of a finished reversal. The news will make a push alert that will lose to a celebrity headline. That's fine. The planet will not mind that the applause is late. It will wear its new polarity with the same quiet confidence a violin wears new strings. And the auroras will write cursive in unfamiliar latitudes. And someone who had never seen one will pull off a highway and weep in the parking light spill because the sky remembered how to improvise. When that happens, whether centuries from now or in some farther future, our descendants will judge us by whether we left them instruments in tune. Did we keep the libraries? Did we harden the transformers? Did we train the curiosity? Did we choose coherence over noise? Did we learn to call an invisible field by its most accurate name, a relationship? So here is my closing navigation, assembled from iron filings and intentions. If you feel lost in this century, and who doesn't, some days reach for 3 bearings. First, learn the field. Know the difference between signal and storm. Seek data that can be wrong and therefore can be made righter. Curiosity is a compass that improves with use. Second, build for weather you cannot see. Redundancy is not pessimism, it is respect. When we design like we belong here, we tend to. Third, orient by values that outlast coordinates. Poles drift, precedent drifts less. Kindness, evidence, courage, these are stars with proper motion so small you can navigate by them across generations. We won the first space race by leaving Earth. We will win the next by deserving to. By treating this world's invisible scaffolding, its magnetic hush, its atmospheric grace, its oceanic memory, not as a backdrop to human drama, but as the co-author of every chapter we hope to write elsewhere. Artemis will plant new flags. Probes will sip the brine of distant moons. A child not yet born will step onto Martian regolith and look up at a sky where Phobos hurries. All of that will be a sequel to the moment we are in now, when we decide whether progress means speed or stewardship. The 5th dimension revealed is not a hidden axis in the math. It is the choice to live as if our measuring sticks matter. As if our instruments are also instruments capable of playing along with the planet's time signature instead of shouting over it. As if responsibility is not the tax on wonder, but its most beautiful dividend. So keep a compass close, even if you mostly use it to remember. Let the needle shake. Let it settle. Let it point through you. And the next time someone asks where north is, don't just answer with a direction. Answer with a posture. Stand as if you belong to a world that is still learning to belong to itself. Look up, calibrate by stars that change slowly, and look down, grateful for a core that changes slowly enough for us to grow wise. Then take one step toward coherence, toward stewardship, toward the elegant humility of being one more current in a field that began before us and will continue after. That is how the space race meets the ground truth. That is how poles that wander make a civilization that doesn't. And that is how a species finds not a new planet, but a new way to be at home on this one. The compass of Earth may flip, let ours not. So let this be our closing ignition sequence. Not a countdown to escape, but a count up to belonging. 1. We admit that the universe is under no obligation to be simple, and we love it anyway. 2. We accept that the field may wander, and we choose to hold our bearings steady by evidence, by empathy, by the work we do when no one is watching. 3. We harden what must endure grids, satellites, archives, and soften what must listen our politics, our classrooms, our language for the future. 4. We widen the circle of we until it includes coastlines and corals, pollinators and power lines, auroras and children who have not yet seen a truly dark sky. 5. We remember that the space race was never only about distance. It was about dignity, about proving that a species born in gravity could learn grace. From here, every launch is a promise to Earth first. Every mission plan begins with a map of home. Every new world we touch will ask the same quiet question. Did you learn how to live with the one that raised you? If we can answer yes because we built for storms we could not see, because we invested in the slow safety of preparation over the fast theater of denial, because we tuned our civilization like a violin to the key of this planet, then the galaxies will not just be places we visit, they will be conversations we're ready to have. And when the poles finally trade places, as they will in their patient hour, may it find us mid-sentence, mid-solution, mid-song, engaged in the most human of projects, making meaning out of motion, coherence out of change. That is the fifth dimension revealed. Awareness that becomes responsibility. Responsibility that becomes culture, culture that becomes a physics of care. We will not anchor ourselves against the turning. We will learn to turn beautifully. So keep a compass, keep a question, keep a place in your heart where the night sky can still surprise you. Then step forward, calibrated by stars, grounded by stone, guided by a field that points through you as much as it points beyond you. Because the future is not a destination on a map. It is a direction we choose together. And if we choose well, if we choose coherence over noise, stewardship over spectacle, truth over convenience, the day will come when our descendants look up from a shoreline lit by an unfamiliar aurora, and they will say of us what we once said of Apollo. They did not flee the earth. They learned to deserve it. The fifth dimension revealed. Awareness, responsibility, and cosmic truth is not a myth. It's our next skill. Let's practice it now, so that when the universe asks us where north is, we can smile, point through our own steady hearts, and answer, here